This is In the Know for Thursday, February 23, the 54th day of 2023. There are 311 days left in the year. Good morning, MB, guiding you through In the Know at K105. On Litchfield's Country Station, 103.9 The Moose, live online at K105.com via the Apple and Android smartphone app using the SoundCloud, iTunes, or Spotify podcast. On Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and the hashtag is In the Know. Coming up today, we'll update you on the latest news headlines from around the community, the county, the Commonwealth, and the country. Weather-wise, what we're going to do today is going to be another nice day. We'll tell you all the details. We're going to cash in on our bingo card later on in the show, and we're going to talk with Dr. Isaac Miller. That and a whole lot more coming up today here on In the Know. Settling into my left, rolling Mach 9 with her hair on fire, is my beautiful wife, the beautiful girl. It's Beach. Good morning, sweetheart.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
You, through your upbringing in life, you have a considerable amount of firsthand veterinary medicine information.
Yes.
Fair to say?
That's fair.
And so as the technology evolves, medicine evolves, I thought you might like to know that there's a new pet health app that can detect when your dog or your cat is sick by taking pictures of its skin and their eyes, and it tells you whether you need to go to the vet or not.
I like that a lot.
So there's like an annual or monthly subscription, like $4.99, and you can scan, and you think that way you know, well, do I need to load Rover up and, haul him or her down to the vet or whatever. So it's a pretty neat thing, as they proverbially say. There's an app for that.
And I would bet money that one of the photos they want you to take is of their gums.
Yeah, that's pretty revealing.
Yes, it is.
It's revealing information. I think that's for Homo sapiens in general, or maybe mammals in general.
Maybe.
Gums are revealing. He is a 5-time winner of the coveted Ohio Newshawk Award. He's the 2-time Silver Sound nominee, covering every corner of the globe: London, Budapest, Rio, Tokyo, and even Brownsville. He's Sam Gormley and the sports. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Ralph.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. We didn't get to see you yesterday. Sometimes you go to Brownsville, you get your money's worth. Sometimes you get way more than your money's worth, and you had an adventurous trip to Brownsville the other night.
It never tripped Brownsville an adventurous
Well,
trip?
what you did was you got 4 trips worth in 2 trips.
Yeah, I mean, the first night was pretty normal. I guess as normal as a trip to downtown Browntown can be. But yeah, date night, did something happen?
Well, I'd just say, I I'd say your day was different yesterday in the way my day was different yesterday.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people have just messaged me in a chokehold.
Nobody wanted to talk to me about anything else yesterday, but they all had, they all had their comments and weighed in, and so
People praised me for being able to switch between basketball and UFC.
Yes.
And I can't say that UFC broadcasting was, when I got hired here, was something that I expected to have to do.
I had someone suggest to me yesterday that perhaps you could be the new Jim Ross from the WWE, to which I asked that person, did they want to be the new Jerry the King Lawler and sit beside you? And, just
I might have to get Shannon the Dude for that. He is
that would probably work.
the quintessential color analyst of. But I know I've had multiple, even broadcasting friends that have said, "Well, that's a heck of a night."
Sometimes you think you've seen it all, and then
I mean, what a way for I hate that the Cougars lost, obviously, because we wanted to keep the season going as long as possible. But man, as far as just memories wise, that's one way to.
It's
to go out.
memorable, but I'm afraid, like I said yesterday, it's kind of overshadowing some of the other, because I didn't even get a chance to talk. They made a couple of really good runs late in that game to overcome a significant deficit, and they've done that before in the postseason to be able to extend their lives. And as Coach Johnston said the other night, just the luck just wasn't on their side the other night and being able to overcome the momentum. But they made it a game late.
Yeah, they just couldn't quite get over the hump. They had that moment where they were, down 6, got the steal, had the layup that would have made it 4, and they called the travel on it. And again,
Did you go back and look at it?
I haven't yet.
I was going to go back and look at it, but I got busy rewatching something else over and over.
It's one of the it's always fun. I always enjoy watching the reactions of fan bases, and it was pretty much everyone on the Grayson County sideline that was right in front of us had the same reaction, and it was like, what are we doing?
But depends on what side of the gym.
And then of course the Edmonton County fans were like, oh, that's
it was 4 steps,
the best call.
Yeah.
And no, in fact, I'd heard an Edmonton County fan as we were leaving. That was a direct quote that he took 4 steps.
Well, that's how they count. So, nonetheless,
they can count.
Let's move on. Let's go. Warm and breezy today. We'll see breezy today with gusts between 20 and 30 miles per hour. And we're going to see, by the way, I should say also, I did get to have a conversation with Brian Alexander yesterday. He's the superintendent of Edmonton County Schools. And we were just, comparing notes and talking, and had a wonderful conversation, by the way, in case there's any doubt about that. But he was just talking about, he said, Grayson County and Edmonton County is so intertwined. And I just laughed. I said, like, you have to tell me? I mean, and he said, well, yeah. He said, I got your cell phone number from your family. It was like, come to find out he already had it. But my Edmonton County family, that's how we got connected outside of business. So yeah, there's just a lot of.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Is there a more Hatfield and McCoy's type of rivalry than?
Well, I know, like, Edmonton County's principal, Jonathan Williams, came up to me beforehand, and he was making that same exact comment as he said that's why he likes this rivalry so much, because I think this wasn't the direct comment that he made, but it was pretty much, we're rivals on the floor, but then we'll go to church together on Sunday.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
I mean, and
that was that's not what his direct line, but that's pretty much what he was saying.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. But however, I also want to say, because I spent some time talking about it yesterday, there is a line. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not that you just cross and do any line. There is a line, and you can't step over it. So we're going to see breezy today. We're going to see 20 to 30 miles per hour at times. Partly cloudy, 72, 73, 74 this afternoon. Isolated showers tonight. We're going to drop down close to freezing overnight, so 33 to be a cool evening again, rebounding to 51, which is where we should be for this time of the year, and then a little bit warmer than that on Saturday, a little bit warmer than that on Sunday, and looks like could just go ahead and guarantee that it's going to have some rain on Monday, but the temperature will be warm. A LaRue County man has pled guilty in the death of his girlfriend in 2016. 60-year-old David Perrier of Buffalo pled guilty to manslaughter, abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence in the death of Angel Jesse, which occurred sometime between May 16, May 31, 2016. He was originally charged with murder in Jesse's death. He and his son, 42-year-old Sean of Louisville, buried the body in David Perrier's backyard on Corinth Road, about 6 miles east of Hodgenville, and so it took him a while to solve that case. Gruesome, and I don't. I had thought this morning when reading this story. And then there are other stories at K105.com this morning that are not really news stories. They're indictment stories that follow up on arrests that we've already covered. And they're stomach turning, like the content of them. And I just look at them. And I'll tell you, this morning, this thought crossed my mind. I said, if I leave this show prematurely, like someday when I just go, I think it's time for me to move on. When that day comes, it will be because of content like that we have to like sift through. It just is vulgar, you know? And so even if stories like this, you know, people killing people and burying them in backyards, and it's just, I don't know. It's not for me. Kentucky's near total abortion ban would be relaxed to allow exceptions for pregnancies caused by rape or incest under a bill introduced yesterday by a prominent lawmaker who stopped short of predicting how his Republican colleagues will react to his proposal. Republican State Representative Jason Neems offered the measure on the final day for bills to be filed in the House for this year's 30-day legislative session, which reaches the midway point tomorrow. He is a member of actually they're reaching the midway point today. He is a member of the GOP leadership. As Majority Whip said, he discussed the bill with his colleagues, but wouldn't predict how it will fare in the chamber's Republican supermajority. I think that, I've talked to Republican lawmakers, and I think that there is an appetite, and I think there is a willingness for these exceptions. And I think generally, even those who really line up pro-life, this is a compromise that they are likely willing to make. And it will be interesting to see if they follow through on that, because I think that's where some of the biggest pushback is from the pro-choice camp, is that there are just no exceptions or next to no exceptions. And I also think, though, that then if there is an exception, then will people try to rely on one of those exceptions when it's convenient, when it isn't really true, and trying to sort those things out would be problematic as well. But again, in the ever-changing landscape of how this goes and how it doesn't go, I don't know if it'll get traction in the last 2 weeks of the session, but it at least was filed. And by the way, yesterday or day before, I thought that was the deadline for filing new legislation, and I clearly missed it by about 48 hours or 24 hours, because I think yesterday, at least in the House, was the deadline. The Kentucky Senate voted yesterday to create a layer of legislative oversight for relief funds, like the ones Governor Beshear created to help people recover from tornadoes and flooding. It passed by the Senate on a 33-2 vote. The governor insists there's been full transparency of the funds, but the measure started advancing in the Republican-led legislature following reports that some checks supported by the tornado relief fund went to people unaffected by the tragedy. Here's where we've kind of covered where this is going, and when this bill it was pre-filed, then it was filed in committee, and then it's advanced. I don't know if this legislation has merit, because I don't know that there's a huge problem in the oversight. I don't know that there's not. I don't know that there is. I can't say. I don't have all the data. But here's where I am curious to know is how Team Kentucky fits into the jigsaw of the state. Like, Team Kentucky is a brand created by the Governor Andy Beshear administration. And to me, it always seemed like it was a political entity that they ran on, that he and Lieutenant Governor Coleman ran on. Hey, we're all Team Kentucky. And then during COVID, it seemed to get branded even further, like, we're all going to fight this together and we're going to win. We're Team Kentucky. And now I'm seeing it on license plates, and it is in the signature footprint of all their releases. It says Team Kentucky. When Governor Andy Beshear is no longer governor, whenever that is, will Team Kentucky continue, or is it so associated with him that the next person that comes along is going to say, that's all Andy Beshear, Team Kentucky is out? Like, I don't know how those pieces fit together, because these funds are the Team Kentucky relief effort. Well, is that a function of state government, or is that something that the state government just absorbed from the campaign? Like, what's the mechanism that allows that? And if I understood that better, I might understand whether this oversight is necessary or not. They're not tax dollars. They're private contributions made by taxpayers. Well, we'll presume taxpayers, and could have come from out of state as well. So I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't. It may be attempting to fix a problem that I'm not certain we have, and I think that's sometimes ridiculous.
Sometimes people do that.
Sometimes. It kind of made me laugh. So the Morgan McGarvey State Senate seat has been filled, and it was interesting. I had the Associated Press story in one hand, and I had the Kentucky Today story in the other hand. And you got a copy of both of them. I don't know if you noticed or not, but that one headline says the Associated Press says Democrat wins seat in GOP-dominated Kentucky Senate, and then the Kentucky Today story said Democrats keep seat. You know, it was already held by Morgan McGarvey, who's a Democrat, but it was a bit difference of prism and perspective. It's like the AP says, hey, they won one. Well, they already had it, but they just kept it, and I thought that was kind of a microcosm of the way that our landscape works, at least politically, in the political narratives. What is her name? She was the winner. She is from the Louisville area. She was a Cassie Chambers Armstrong. So there's her picture on the screen. In case
Looks like a nice person.
Interesting. I bet she would. You know what? She looks like the type of person to me who returns her shopping cart to the corral after she puts her groceries in her car.
I bet she does.
People that
so.
don't do that, mercy.
I hope so.
Those people drive me crazy. Kentucky won their third straight last night on the road at Gainesville. An adventure as always, but the Cats have won 3 in a row.
There was a fan incident in that game,
Yes,
too.
there was. There was a hook and hold involving some. What is wrong with people? Unfortunately,
That one was a lot worse than what happened at Grayson County.
Absolute microcosm of sports is life, so to speak. 82-74, Cats win last night, 3 in a row. They will return home to play Auburn on Saturday at the Rupp Arena. Got to get to a break. Dr. Isaac Miller is here. We're going to have a conversation about sports medicine coming right up here on In the Know.
For more than 70 years, Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center has cared for the health of our friends, neighbors, and family members in Grayson County and beyond. We've celebrated every beautiful newborn, every successful surgery, and every healed injury. Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center is focused on finding solutions to your health challenges. As part of the Owensboro Health System, we want to keep you healthy. We want to make you proud.
Thinking about furthering your education? At Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, you'll get a high-quality education close to home at a cost that won't break the bank. Enjoy small class sizes with professors who take a personal interest in your success. ECTC's Litchfield campus is now enrolling for classes that start March 13th. Call 270-259-1540 or visit elizabethtown.kctcs.edu to get started. ECTC. College for the real world.
If you're the average person, you only think about income taxes from January to April. But the choices you make 12 months a year have a big impact on your tax return preparation and even your refund. Making adjustments to your financial matters during tax filing season is like trying to lose weight during a routine doctor visit. The certified public accounting firm of Buckles, Travis & Hart work year-round to advise clients on important financial decisions so that during tax filing season, you're carrying a lot less stress and worry. Join the Peace of Mind team with Buckles, Travis & Hart. 270-259-5604 or GraysonCPAs.com.
Hendrickson in Elizabethtown is now hiring welders, machine operators, fork truck operators, and production associates. These are second, third, and weekend shift positions. Hendrickson is interviewing now. Walk-in interviews are welcome. You can also visit their job fair Friday, February 24th from 8 a.m. to noon at 940 Black Branch Road in Elizabethtown. These immediate openings include excellent pay and benefits after 30 days, a $500 sign-on bonus, and much more. Speak directly to their HR representative by by calling 270-506-5755 and ask about the available positions. Once again, second, third, and weekend shift welding, machine operating, fork truck operating, and production associate jobs are available at Hendrickson in E-Town. Call 270-506-5755 or visit the job fair February 24 from 8 a.m. till noon, or see all their openings at workforh.com. That's workforh.com to work for Hendrickson, 940 Black Branch Road in Elizabethtown.
Every year, Kentuckians dump enough stuff on the ground to fill a football stadium 12 stories high. When it rains, all that trash washes down storm drains and directly into our streams, rivers, and lakes. It's time we all did our part to stop polluting Kentucky's waterways. To find out how you can help, visit stormwater.ky.gov. Brought to you by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
Tesla is moving back to California. Brian Shook has more.
On Wednesday, Elon Musk was joined by California Governor Gavin Newsom in a press conference where he announced the plan. Tesla's global engineering headquarters, currently situated in Austin, Texas, will be moving to Palo Alto. Newsom praised the decision, saying it was a point of pride to have Tesla back in California. Musk moved the company to Texas in 2021 after a dispute with California health officials over reopening facilities during the COVID pandemic.
Facebook parent company Meta is planning to cut thousands of jobs despite the CEO predicting no more layoffs. The Washington Post reports the company is getting set to put some leaders into lower-level roles without direct reports. The cuts will likely not happen on a single day, but will happen across the company over the next few months. And the top choice of what Twitter users are giving up for Lent is Twitter. Alcohol finished second, followed by social networking. Tech Report.
Well, things have been a little complicated.
Today is Curling is Cool Day. It's Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day. It's Chili Day today.
Yeah, it is.
A little warm for chili, but it's always pretty good day for chili. It's also the day we get to punch and cash in our bingo card, because Dr. Isaac Miller is here and we officially can color in the faces of all of the Harold and Becky Miller clan as being guests on In the Know. Welcome, Dr. Miller.
Thank you. I feel like I finally have arrived in my career. I'm not the black sheep at the family get-togethers now.
Now, collectively of your clan, you all have got probably more than a dozen appearances, so your percentage of appearances is still low.
I know,
but we'll try and work that out. But
one step at a time.
We're glad that you're here, and it's and I also would say we're so blessed as a community to have your skill set. I was reminded earlier, you spent time at the University of Alabama before coming home, and you were kind of where you got trained and cut your chops and that type of thing. But you brought a lot of the knowledge you picked up along the way and put it to work in the in the sake of the community. So we're grateful that you did that. Thanks for coming home.
Yeah, well, Grayson County has a great tradition of medicine and physicians that have, gone off and then decided to come back home. I mean, one of my heroes of medicine was Dr. Lee. One of the big reasons why I decided to go into medicine, and he was a hometown boy that came back and has really done a lot. And, I think Grayson County doesn't realize how special a place the hospital has been. These rural communities out, I spent some time in Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky during my training. There's not doctors for 30, 40 miles sometimes. Mm-hmm. And to have such resources here, it truly is a testament to the leaders of this community years past and those that have continued to work and build that for years to come, hopefully.
You're also building a beautiful family. You're one of the few people that I know that have 2 sets of twins.
Yeah.
You do look a little fatigued, to be honest with you.
My wife was up some last night. We are getting a little bit out of the phase of, the getting up in the middle of the night and feedings and all that kind of stuff, but it has been interesting. Funny story about that, whenever I was in my fellowship, there was a guy that had a shirt that said, father of 2 sets of twins, and at that time, my twins were about 9 months old, I guess, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, Poor guy, because I was right in the middle of it with my first set, and now I'm that poor guy. So
it was an omen, wasn't
yeah,
it? It was a sign.
It was a little bit of something there.
A sign
for
of
sure.
sign of things to come.
Right.
Your specialty at Owensboro Health Twin Lakes is sports medicine, and that's one of the reasons that you're here today. Is one to check the card. So we've got our collection full of Millers now that we can put on our shelf, but also to talk about sports medicine and who you treat and why and when. Now, I think if I have it on good authority, the one shortcoming of your upbringing is that you were raised a U of L fan. Is that correct?
Yes, but I do have a good excuse now. You know, I did go to college there and medical school there, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty much committed at this point, but you can blame my father for that.
Okay,
He
so
liked to be a contrarian in the 80s, and of course that was Denny Crum's era, so
I got it.
Yeah.
Well, I also in 1984 for a brief moment was a U of L fan, but when it didn't get the reaction from my parents that it wanted, I was like, well, I'm just going to go back to doing the other thing. But I would like to say, I didn't wear UK today just for your benefit, but I did wear Yankees gear because we're going to talk sports medicine and the spring training starts this weekend. Do you have a favorite Major League Baseball team?
So also, you know, my parents took me to a Major League Baseball game when I was 5 years old to the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay,
And
good.
that was,
All right, that's fine. That's
that was the
acceptable.
year that they won the championship. Little did I know that the next 30 years were going to be this rough. So, because it kind of went downhill after the strike for the Cincinnati
Imagine
Reds.
being me. I'm born in 97, where I've never seen any of it.
It's been a drought.
Yeah, it's been a little rough to be a Reds fan, but, you know, we have little moments here and there.
Yeah. I was afraid you were going to say Red Sox. I was like, okay, I found the two things that he was, the way he was raised wrong. But I left the UK gear out of the equation today in your honor. So we can
Much
talk
appreciated,
sports medicine. And I do want to tell you, speaking of sports, I am enough older than you are that I got to see your high school career. And two things that I observed that I think I've been able to see follow along is, one, I've always admired catchers on the field. Joe Torre was a catcher. I love Joe Torre as a manager. Todd Johnston has shown to be a good coach and being able to manage games. He was an excellent catcher. You in your era were an excellent catcher, and catchers are the managers on the field. They're in a position that they see everything line to line and even beyond, dugout to dugout. And so they're kind of the on the field quarterback, and you have to be paying attention to what's going on. And I can kind of sense in you use that experience to sort of operate your practice in the way that you practice medicine. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be naive to think that my, you know, upbringing in this community and the lessons you learn in sports, I mean, I think it sets you up to succeed in life. You know, there's failures, there's success, there's accountability, there's performance, all these things that come into play is why I think people that love sports, that's why they do it, and that's why they watch it, and that's why they still do stuff on the weekends or whatever. And you know, catching was probably my biggest passion. You know, when I was 16 years old, if you asked me what I was going to do, I was going to be the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. So I fell a little short from that goal, but yeah, a lot of the principles that you find, you know, and you know, I had great coaches. You know, my dad coached me when I was younger, and then in middle school and high school, I had a lot of good coaches, and I would say there's pieces of me from all of those men that touched me at such a young age, and even on my medical side, like Joe Harris and the work that he did at Grayson County. I mean, he's also one of my medical heroes that led me to the field that I'm in today. And I think it's a good lesson for, you know, people in this community to realize that when you're giving back to these young kids, it makes a difference for what they do in the future. And, you know, that's part of why I wanted to come back here, is to be a member of that community a little further and offer things that, you know, maybe this community wouldn't have with my specialty being one of the first ones in this area of the state, really, that did this type of work. And it's a unique skill set that's a little different than some of your more traditional orthopedic surgery.
I would also observe, as far as your basketball career goes, that in ways you were a little bit like that 93 team that we celebrated not long ago. There were no superstars on that team. And while you might not have earned a Division I scholarship to play basketball, my observation of you was that you took everything God gave you and used it you got the most out of it on every possession. I've always remembered that about you, and I would imagine that's a skill that you also put forth in your professional and personal life too.
Well, I wasn't that talented. I have pretty good hand-eye coordination, but I wasn't fast, and I was a 6-foot center really on a team that was pretty short. And at the time, the region had some pretty big guys. And I set a lot of picks for Chris Gaither. I'd say at least 10 points a game were due to my picks. So of his 27 that year, I think direct input 10 was from me. So, but yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of, y'all were talking about the Edmonson County game this past week, which I was there during that excitement. But, it reminded me of some of those games whenever Chris was here. At that time, both schools were really good. The principal at Edmonson was their center, who was a really skilled player. Meredith kid, I think Brett Meredith was his name. They were one of the better teams I think they were in the 5th region at the time. And we were, in the 3rd region, one of the better teams. There were 6,000-7,000 people people were standing on top of one another on those Friday night games. Some of my biggest memories of my high school career. A lot of fun. Well,
you're still spending, as you mentioned, a lot of nights and probably afternoons and days, and you're giving of your time and your skill set to. You talked about kind of following in the footsteps of Joe to make sure that young athletes stay healthy. Know when enough is enough, because when you're that young, you're bulletproof, and you think, I can still go. Right. You're the voice of reason to coaches and athletes to say, hold up, this is a brief moment in your life. We're trying to make sure you're protected for your entire life health-wise. Yeah. Does it give you a really good feeling to be able to invest back in the programs that helped raise you?
Oh yeah, I think that's why I'm here today in back in Litchfield. I loved everything about medicine. There was very rarely was there something that I did in medicine that I didn't enjoy. I tell people all the time, delivering a baby was the coolest thing I've ever done. I just didn't want to deliver babies in the middle of the night the rest of my life.
Right, sure.
So, but getting back to your original question, sports is you never get that feeling like high school sports once you leave it. And for those that have gone and realize that, and I felt like this was an opportunity for me to still have that connection to athletes. And I remember as an 8th grader, a Tuesday night game, how important that was. And so I wanted to, I want to play. I wanted to play no matter what. And sometimes when you're injured, and especially if it's somebody that doesn't know the how far can you push it? Can you play through this? Can you not? There might be games that you would miss otherwise. And that sports medicine, I think, is a field that the goal is to get people to do what they love to do as much and as safe and as with as much performance as they can. And coming back home, I want that freshman game. If they want to try and play and I feel like it's safe, I want them out there, and I'm going to make things happen so that can happen. And then I also have to protect them from what may happen when they're 35, 40 years old. And so, there's that balance there, and there's some tough calls. And you see this struggle in athletes professionally. Classically Tony Romo and that whole ordeal with his clavicle and all that kind of stuff. That's a tough call. What do you do? And, hindsight's always 20/20, and these people get, the physicians and the trainers and all this, media guys can sometimes really let them have it because they're like, what were they doing? But medicine is often an art, not necessarily a science all the time, especially when you're doing that gray area. And that's where hopefully my expertise can help bring some of that to our local athletes and individuals.
All right, really hard-hitting question. I'm sure you're going to have to go back through your entire history of practicing medicine. Since today is Curling Appreciation Day, Have you ever treated a curling injury?
I have not.
You have not. Okay,
That
well,
is
something for
now,
your bucket list.
Yeah, for sure. I've been pretty blessed. Where I trained in Alabama, I got quite a bit of experience with. I took care of a guy that was in the Super Bowl this year. I've taken care of all-pro NFL athletes. I've had an opportunity to take care of an Olympian. So I do have an Olympian on my list, but I don't have a curling. Maybe if I would have gone to Minnesota, I would have had a chance at that.
Well, maybe if you volunteer with the U.S. Olympic team,
There you
maybe
go.
at some point in time you can
See if you can make a call for me.
Check that off your list.
Yeah.
I will certainly vouch
There
for
you
you. Sports Medicine Month, I would suppose that where it falls on the calendar is strategically designed as we're entering a season where we're more likely to get back out running. We're going to be, on the tennis courts, are going to be outdoors and more active. And so the purpose is just to bring awareness to injuries, nagging injuries, the importance of having those treated, and as you mentioned, the specialty of the art of practicing sports medicine.
Yeah, essentially what I do is non-surgical orthopedics. And I had an additional level of training for sports-specific injuries. There are some injuries that are very specific to certain types of athletes. And so because of that, it leads to certain types of injuries. And even though it kind of looks the same on paper, sometimes their goals are different. A power lifter is going to be different than a bodybuilder, or a runner that sprints is going to be different than a marathon runner, or a softball pitcher is different than a baseball pitcher. It's a completely different maneuver, which these things make sense, but unless you've got some experience with working on these types of athletes, it can make a difference. And then, older athletes are different than our younger athletes. A 40-year-old I'm going to treat differently than I would a 15-year-old. Trying to get people to be as active as possible. Studies show that the more active you are, the longer you live, and there's all this research and stats that suggest that being active as a lifelong activity is going to be beneficial for your blood pressure, your diabetes, all these things that ultimately can lead to a lot of changes to your medical condition. There's always that exercise and motion component that is important, and that's where I try to help out our other community members, not just our Grayson County athletes or surrounding counties.
I had someone say the other day, it was kind of a catch-22, like they were obese, they needed a knee replacement, they didn't qualify for surgery, like for lap band surgery, because they needed to lose weight, but because they needed a knee replacement. So the point is that sports medicine might be in a place to get you well enough to get the most out of your knee to be able to lose enough weight to qualify for surgery that then paves the way for your later knee replacement. So everything is connected, I'm saying, and there's a way to manage your way through that situation.
Yeah, I would say that exact scenario that you presented is probably something that I have a conversation about on a daily, if not every other day basis. Because it's tough. I can use some of my family as examples. I've got my grandmother. She's got significant arthritis, but we also know that if she's going to continue to live at home by herself and take care of herself, she's got to keep that motion and keep that ability to move. And those are tough conversations to have with families and with patients, because sometimes patients can feel like there's no good answer. And that's where we just try to look at the risk and the benefits and how we need to proceed and try the best. And, there's no miracles out there, but we can optimize the treatment and give people the best chance of having as full a life as possible that we can. And ultimately that's why I became a physician, is to help people do those things.
Now, I know sports medicine is an interesting label that you put on it, but I know that you treat just regular weekend warriors, or you just people that maybe even aren't overly involved in sports, all the way up to elite athletes like Sam Gormley.
Exactly.
Right? The full spectrum you treat.
Yes. Yeah, Sam's probably been the best athlete that's walked through my doors for sure.
That's what I figured.
Clearly, more than your Alabama guys, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I probably could be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
As a ticket.
Exactly what you said, Mark. I take care of a lot more farmers and factory workers than I do athletes, but the principles are the same. We're trying to get people. And honestly, a lot of times the stakes are a little higher for those types of people because they're providing for their family. They've got bills to pay, and especially in our community where these more labor-intensive jobs are a big portion of our communities, our population. That's the type of stuff they do. If they miss work for 6 weeks, it can be difficult, and so. Those are opportunities that also I really cherish to try and help people work through those times. And it can be tough calls because, not everything works out exactly like you would want. In an ideal world, you could take 6 weeks off and still get paid and not have to pay bills and stuff. But that's just not the world we live in. And so we try to do the best that we can for all of our patients, and it is a rewarding thing whenever it happens the way you want it to.
My guess is there are multiple people who in the last 20 minutes have realized I have something that qualifies under the heading of sports medicine and I didn't even realize it. So they're ready to reach out. How do they take that step in order to getting introduced to you?
Yeah, so the hospital has a website, so you can always go to Owensboro Health and then find the Twin Lakes link to that. And then, our phone number, we take appointments on a daily basis, 270-230-0124 will allow you to get a hold of my staff and then ultimately get you in front of me if deemed necessary.
Hey, again, thanks for coming home.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in. Really admire you, your work, your beautiful family, and come back and get in the scorebook more than your mom and dad and your brother. Let's just balance the scales a little bit, okay?
Well, this has definitely made me a lot cooler in my kids' eyes. So they're watching. So Thatcher, Hadley, love you, and also Hudson and Anna.
Wonderful. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
Dr. Isaac Miller from Owensboro Health, Twin Lakes Sports Medicine. Back with more coming up here on In the Know.
Maybe you're not one of those frequent flyers, but sometimes you just want to hit the beach or see your new granddaughter or go to that out-of-state wedding. Whatever the reason for your getaway, if it involves flying in the U.S. or visiting a military base after May 7th, 2025, you'll need a Kentucky Real ID driver's license or an ID that is Real ID compliant. Make a plan to get your Kentucky Real ID now. Go to realidky.com.
The Kentucky Department for Community-Based Services is hiring. DCBS invites you to be part of an inclusive team of caring professionals that helps all Kentucky families through a rewarding career in family support or social services. They have job openings in their county offices across the state and offer great benefits like hybrid work schedule, competitive salary, paid holidays, and many opportunities for training and promotions, plus state employee discounts. Go online to chfs.ky.gov and enter DCBS jobs in the search field. It's a new day at DCBS. Join them, an equal opportunity employer MFD.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Some Kentucky families will have to take out private student loans to help cover college expenses. Private student loans generally have higher interest rates than student loans offered by the federal government, so it's important to compare private loan lenders to see who has the best deal for you. The Advantage Education Loan, Kentucky's only nonprofit private student loan, offers a very competitive rate. Learn more at AdvantageEducationLoan.com.
K105 Weather is brought to you by Future Designs Building Materials on Quarry Road in Litchfield.
Twin Lakes weather. A mix of sun and clouds today with highs into the 70s for most of us. Now for tonight, down into the 20s and the low 30s underneath partly cloudy skies. More of that sunshine around for your Friday with highs only into the 40s and low 50s. We do return further into the 50s on Saturday with a small rain chance in the forecast. From the Wave News Storm Tracking Team, I'm meteorologist Tawana Andrew.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you know 1 acre of peanuts produces 30,000 peanut butter sandwiches? I don't know if I would have expected that number to be higher or lower. I would kind of like to transpose it to spoons of peanut butter because that's how I see it consumed.
How many Reese cups?
And then but then I went Reese's cups. I went same where you went, and then I thought, what about Reese's Pieces? Like, the volume of Reese's Pieces that 1 acre of peanut butter could
or how many
could create,
like bags of peanuts at a baseball game.
Sure, absolutely. Sam, did you learn a lot from Dr. Miller?
I did. I'm glad to hear that he has intelligent taste in baseball.
I hadn't. Did you already know that?
I did not know that.
Since you're a patient of his, I thought maybe you all had discovered that.
No, I don't know that we had
commonality.
discussed the Reds fandom, because probably when I was in there, like you mentioned, it's been a rough few years. You know, the Reds gear is kind of towards the back. I mean, instead, it's a lot easier to wear the Bengals B as I'm
makes sense. You're still holding on to football season at the moment. I see. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
also, congratulations on being the most elite athlete to ever darken his door. I mean, that's,
and I'm, how much of the credit does he get for the Alabama dynasty? I think all of it, right?
A lot. But I would also say, too, we got to keep you on the field. I mean, just because you're not inside the lines doesn't mean you're not part of the game. I'd say he considers your health and safety to be on the same level of any of the athletes.
Whether it's being Al Michaels or Jim Ross, it doesn't.
That's right. The Mandalorian Season 3 comes out next week, but we've learned Season 4 is already written. So they know how the episodic is going to go through Seasons 3 and 4.
Again, I know nothing about any of this, nor do I really care that much, but are they trying to copy Toy Story?
So I was so proud of Alea last night.
I was hoping you were going to tell this.
Is she in on Baby Yoda
something
now?
Happened. Well, not exactly. But I did see a crack in her resolve because she got called a gremlin somehow.
Yeah, she did. She was making this really scrunchy, I don't know, face or whatever.
Cute little gremlin. She said, "Don't call me a gremlin." I said, "Gremlins are cute." So, what's a gremlin? She said. So I got a picture of Gizmo. And so I said, "See how cute Gizmo is?" And she said, "Gizmo looks like Chewbacca." And I said, "No, honey, I think Gizmo looks like Chewbacca and Baby Yoda." And she looked and went, "Yeah." And I was like, she didn't make a negative remark about Baby Yoda. We're getting somewhere.
Mama said that he looks more like a Ewok.
Yeah. He's a combination of Ewoks and Baby Yoda. That's what Gizmo
Your
is.
nerddom is wearing off.
That's okay. I see her resolve is just gradually weakening on not liking Baby Yoda. House of the Dragon, Season 2, expected not to premiere until summer 2024. So if you like that series, you're going to be waiting a while. Will Smith alludes to the slap on a new TikTok video. This is nothing more than Will Smith doing this. He's licking his finger, and he's seeing which way the wind is blowing. Like, are you all over this yet or not? And so if he doesn't get blowback, he can kind of come out of hiding.
I think I was over it about 3 days later.
Yeah, I think.
If that.
There have been way more things to get worked up over since then. Lizzo was on Sesame Street this week. Oh, Cookie Monster, I love you so much. She had her flute, which was clearly made of cookies, but the Cookie Monster took Lizzo's flute away from her and just and ate it. And I thought, this is wonderful.
Oh, wow. Okay. I see it now.
C is for cookie. Pink was, of course, Pink's got a new album out, so she's doing the press junket, promoting her new album. And it was funny. She says, I didn't know I was going to have a family. I didn't picture that for myself because I was terrified I would be a terrible mother. Pink thought she had the potential to be a terrible mother. She says, but being a mom is the most incredible thing I've ever done. Now listen to this, because I think this would be sentiment would be shared by so many. She went on to say, it's shocking how responsible I've become.
Surprise myself.
Just tends to, she said, it's shocking how responsible I've become. Well, yeah, it happens to the best of us. Got to get to a break. We'll come back. Finish it up for the morning. You're on In the Know.
Have you ever thought, what does greatness look like? The answer lies within. Consider the life of King Herod the Great, one of the most influential leaders of ancient Rome. Among other things, he rebuilt the Great Temple in Jerusalem, making it one of the most magnificent structures in the Middle East. He also built an entire city from scratch on the coast of the Mediterranean, which made Israel a hub for international commerce. Herod's accomplishments were historic. But so were his failures. Herod married 10 wives. Of those 10, he put to death his favorite on suspicion of treason. He killed 3 of his own sons for the same reason after they plotted a coup. Herod also killed several of his cousins, a couple of uncles, and thousands of his own citizens over the course of his tyrannical rule. The Jewish historian Josephus records one last hideous detail about Herod. He was so worried that nobody would mourn his death that he decided to give the people a reason to cry. He ordered that a group of distinguished men be killed at the time of his death so that tears would flow throughout the nation when he died. Herod's life is a study of contrast, tremendous success overshadowed by terrible failure. The lesson to be learned is that true greatness isn't measured according to outward trappings, like power and wealth, but according to inward qualities, like integrity and good character. For more to help you thrive, go to FocusOnTheFamily.com. I'm Jim Daly.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt, I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
For more than 70 years, Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center has cared for the health of our friends, neighbors, and family members in Grayson County and beyond. We've celebrated every beautiful newborn, every successful surgery, and every healed injury. Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center is focused on finding solutions to your health challenges. As part of the Owensboro Health System, we want to keep you healthy. We want to make you proud.
Hendrickson in Elizabethtown is now hiring welders, machine operators, fork truck operators, and production associates. These are second, third, and weekend shift positions. Hendrickson is interviewing now. Walk-in interviews are welcome. You can also visit their job fair Friday, February 24th from 8 a.m. to noon at 940 Black Branch Road in Elizabethtown. These immediate openings include excellent pay and benefits after 30 days, a $500 sign-on bonus, and much more. Speak directly to their HR representative by calling 270-506-5755 and ask about the available positions. Once again, second, third, and weekend shift welding, machine operating, fork truck operating, and production associate jobs are available at Hendrickson in E-Town. Call 270-506-5755 or visit the job fair February 24th from 8 a.m. till noon, or see all their openings at workforh.com. That's workforh.com to work for Hendrickson, 940 Black Branch Road in Elizabethtown.
MB's point to ponder for today. I just realized the only time that incorrectly is spelled incorrectly is when it's spelled incorrectly. Did that come out right? The only time that incorrectly isn't spelled incorrectly is when it's spelled incorrectly. Does that make sense?
No, I see what you're saying now. Okay, yeah, that hurt my brain a little bit.
I'm tired.
Exactly. See, that's why the point to ponder was so hard.
That needed to be like a Tuesday one where I could kind of work.
It's not Thursday.
Yeah.
On
It's a little
Fox
too late in the
tonight,
week.
Next Level Chef on ABC Station 19 on ABC Grey's Anatomy.
Isn't that like
It's back?
Isn't this like?
Yes, that's right.
Isn't one of the characters leaving or something?
Yeah.
That's not like I mean, I've never watched.
Pompeo.
Pompeo.
I was gonna say I've never
Ellen
watched an
Pompeo.
episode of that show, so I.
Do you want me to give you the synopsis?
Mm-mm.
I mean, no, I don't think there's any spoilers. I think it's their teaser.
Sure.
Do you want to know what happens on this episode? On Meredith's last day at Gray Sloan, Nick confronts her about the future of their relationship. The interns compete to scrub in on a groundbreaking procedure.
All right.
Are you excited about it now? Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just glad it's back.
Yeah, I assumed that you seem to be genuinely excited. Today in 1954, the first mass inoculation of school children against polio, used the Salk vaccine, began in Pittsburgh, as some 5,000 students were vaccinated. The Siege of the Alamo began this day in 1836.
Really disappointing place.
Teddy Roosevelt signed an agreement with Cuba to lease the Guantanamo Bay area.
Say,
This
it's
date,
in-
1903.
It's not that exciting to go to. It's in the middle of downtown.
In 2021, you mean the Alamo?
Yeah.
It is a little under.
I don't
it's
know.
a little under.
I might have been a little too young, but even I was talking with my dad, and he had the same reaction. It's just I didn't know
It's
what
not
to
as
expect.
big as you would think it would be.
Yeah, and I just expected it to be in the middle of a field or something. You know, like no, it's just in the middle of downtown.
Well, yeah, but the town grew around it.
Yeah,
mean,
I
that was
understand
the-
that, but I went in with literally no expectations.
I was there about 35 years apart, and so I have a my
From
dad
the-
went
from
to,
the battle?
Yes, my dad went to officer school in San Antonio, and so they stood me in front of just a little bitty kid. They stood me in front of the Alamo, and then when I had to go back, I think it was for a planning convention, I went and.
Sounds
Did somebody stand you?
Steve Kincaid took my picture. Steve Kincaid took my picture up against
Tell
the
you what,
Alamo.
a planning convention. That sounds like a good old party right there.
It's more of a barn burner than the accounting convention.
I don't know. When they break out the calculators.
In 2021, Tiger Woods was seriously injured when his SUV crashed into a median and rolled over several times. Lucky to be alive. Amazing that he is playing golf.
And actually played pretty well over the weekend, didn't
Yeah, not too bad. He's still got stamina issues. Like, he just can't walk that long. Like, it's hard to. Birthdays today. Patricia Richardson is 72 today. She played Mrs. Tim Taylor on Tool Time.
Okay.
Brad Whitford from Aerosmith is 71. Howard Jones is 68. Kristen Davis is 58. Niecy Nash is 53. Josh Gad is 42 today. Olaf is 42. Also, LeFou in the remake of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, he does a lot of the talking on the Magical Express as well.
Oh, yeah, he does. Emily Blunt, Mary Poppins, is 40 today. Nakota Fanning is 29 today. And Uncle Hub Green is celebrating a birthday today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to draw his ire by telling you his age.
So does that mean you have to give him a Go Dodgers?
No. I'll give him a harumph. Harumph. Hey, I didn't get a harumph from that guy. Gone but Unforgotten. Handel in 1685. Or
Handel.
In Caneyville, we call him Handel. 1940, Peter Fonda was born in 1940. 1685, Handel, and Peter Fonda, 1940. Those are the Gone but Unforgotten. Let's see if we can find a chart topper. We're kind of running short on time. I had a lot of fun talking to Dr. Miller, so we kind of ran long.
You're reminiscing.
I was reminiscing, yes. 1957, Mickey and Sylvia #1 with Love is Strange. Lover boy. And if he still doesn't answer,
Take it for a game.
can so see the scene. in
We
my
have
head.
a lot to get to. I really would like to play more of Love Is Strange, but we got to make room for Nancy Sinatra.
We had this as a marching band song.
I can see that being pretty good.
And see, this is trombone's got that little part there.
Oh yeah, that's a great sack butt line right there. Listen, with it being Mardi Gras this week, Trombone Shorty was getting all the love.
He's awesome.
He was getting all the love this week.
He's
Just
awesome.
Everywhere I looked, there was Trombone Shorty. He had his own float in one of the parades this year.
I'm pretty sure he did the national anthem when UK won the title. On the trombone, if my memory's right.
Really?
I think that's right. In New Orleans?
Number 1975, Grand Funk #1 was Some Kind of Wonderful. This is one of R&B Productions' early big hits when we would go and do audio check and make sure we played Grand Funk, Some Kind of Wonderful.
Well, see,
That's how we blew out the carburetor on the sound system.
The first ever marching band song I ever learned was We're an American Band by Gets Grand Funk Railroad, isn't it?
Well, no, the first Pat Band song I ever learned, Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun. It was not hard.
I was going to say, that seems pretty easy.
Change music. 1984, the first time we heard the synthesizer in the front of Van Halen Jump from the 1984 album. We went, what? You can put a synthesizer in a rock and roll band? And Van Halen said, why, yes, we can. All right, we got time for it. You probably heard this song before. 1993, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You.
I'm not what you need.
Yeah, I mean, mad respect for her, but I'm so over.
You don't like that song?
No, I'm just over. It seems like everybody is still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about
I'm
that
over
song is that, of course, Dolly wrote it. So she always would laugh. She'd say, well, they can call it her song, but I cash the checks. So that's good. No Doubt. Hey Baby, #1 in 2002. Grenade, Bruno Mars, #1 in 2011. Post Malone, Circles, #1 3 years ago today. MB's Proloism for today. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. MB's Proloism for today. Remember, God loves you and I do too. If you don't know Jesus, let me know and I'll introduce you. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another edition of our show. For Sam Gormley, for Beej, I'm MB, and now you're in the know.
Powering through the Twin Lakes with the best mix of music, news, weather, and fun. If it's in the Twin Lakes, it's on